Hello guys, this is Doran's Movies, and today I'll be bringing you 10 World of Warcraft Lore Facts Part 5. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. The Black Empire was the first civilization on Azeroth. Little is known about it at this point, but we do know that it existed. The Black Empire was lorded by the Old Gods, and many races were a part of it, such as the Elementals, the Akir, and the Faceless Ones. It is speculated that it fell when the Titans arrived and defeated the Old Gods, subsequently changing the state of Azeroth from chaos to order. Black Empire, even though fallen, is not actually dead, as all of the races of it still remain either imprisoned or holding their territory on Azeroth today. 10,000 years ago, when the Sundering happened, the Earthen were deeply affected as the land around them shattered. Disturbed by this event, they retreated back to the Titan cities, where they, deep beneath the ground, fell into slumber. About 2,000 years ago or so, the Earthen of Uldaman had awakened, and they ventured into the world. Eventually, they reached the lands they would later call Khazmodan, in honor of their Titan master Khaz'goroth. In the heart of the central Khaz mountain, they constructed a city, and in the heart of the city they crafted a mighty forge like no other. The city would then become the capital and the ancestral home of the dwarves, known as Ironforge. Kobolds live in caves across Azeroth, mainly in the Eastern Kingdom. Unknown to many, they actually have a cousin race known as Snobolds that inhabit the lands of Northrend. Little is known of their origin at this point, but we do know that they have somehow managed to ally themselves with the Magnator. Usually this would be very tough, as the Magnator are a stubborn race that doesn't take kindly to strangers, but some sort of a mutually beneficial relationship seems to be in place. Snobolds are implied to be servants and caretakers of the Magnator, while the Magnator provide them with the safety from all of the various different dangerous races of Northrend. Also, unlike the Kobolds who carry candles on their heads, the Snobolds use a bowl filled with the blood-spore flowers. Saronite is a metal that can be found throughout Northrend, often associated with the Old Gods. It is said that Saronite is the black blood of Yogg-Saron, which can be found in both liquid and solid form. As a metal, it is extremely strong, while only being 1/4 of the weight of steel. To add to that, it is very resistant to magic and physical damage. The downside to it though is that it can corrupt people, and just by standing in the Saronite mines, you can hear the Old God whispers. This worked really well for the Lich King though, as he built his fortress and war machines using Saronite, and since his Scourge doesn't have a will of their own, they're pretty much resistant to the mind control. However, it is a double-edged sword, as Saronite is very useful against undead and can easily destroy their indestructible animated flesh. The best example of this was when Sylvanas jumped from the Frozen Throne into Saronite spikes in hopes of ending her existence, as she knew that this was the only way for her to actually die. Pygmies are small humanoid creatures who many people associate with the gnomes. They are so similar to the gnomes that during the development of the Cataclysm, Blizzard used a gnome placeholder. However, they have nothing to do with that race, as they share a common ancestors with the goblins instead. The Pygmies can be found in the Lost Isles in a tribal community with their very own culture, tradition, and a language. Apart from just the Lost Isles, they can also be seen in Uldum for some reason, mainly working as mercenaries. Since the Cataclysm, we have barely seen any of them, but it is speculated that they could be found on other isles on Azeroth that we still haven't explored. Amber is the sap of the Kiperi trees found throughout the Dread Wastes and the Townlog Steppes. It is pretty much the lifeblood of the Mantid, as they use it in almost all aspects of their society, from architecture to art and even food. Apart from that, Amber also has magical properties that allows them to create a time capsule for their warriors known as the Paragons, in order to preserve them for a time of need. In the past, Amber used to be very common, but recently, since the Shah corruption, it became a scarce material, crippling the Mantid Empire. Harpies today can be found throughout Azeroth, mainly on the continent of Kalimdor. Their origin had some changes, but by the newest lore they're said to be the children of the demigoddess Evienna. 10,000 years ago, Evienna fell in the War of the Ancients, just like many other ancients who fought the Burning Legion. It is said that since the fall of their matriarch, the Harpies turned to barbaric and sinister creatures. They have since strayed from their purpose and have forsaken their actual parent, often allying themselves with other, darker masters. Unsurprisingly, in Cataclysm, some Harpies have even allied with the Black Dragonflight in order to prevent the rebirth of Evienna, so whatever their original purpose was, it has long been forgotten. Tol Barad was originally created by the Erator, the first great human nation. Some 1,000 or so years later, during the Second War, Tol Barad became the staging area for the Alliance forces, which was later raised by the Horde. Following the Second War, wizards of Kul Tiras used the Isle to build a mystical prison to hold the most powerful criminals. During the Cataclysm recently, the island was damaged, and yet again it became a battleground between the Horde and the Alliance as Garrosh mounted an invasion. It is uncertain what the state of Tol Barad is now, as it is still a battleground, but lore-wise it was most likely retaken by the Alliance as Garrosh is dead and the Horde has changed ever since. Wolvar is a humanoid race that inhabits the lands of Northrend. They are speculated to descend from a badger ancient, but that information has long been lost due to the Tribunal of Ages, a Titan librarian construct being corrupted. The Wolvar are also strikingly similar to the Murlocs when it comes to their culture. They worship many different creatures from their own subjective reasons, from yetis to proto-dragons and even robots. And just like the Murlocs, even though primitive and aggressive in nature, they're capable of friendship and diplomacy. Many people believe that it was Deathwing himself who caused the Shattering by damaging zones separately. In reality, the thing that made this event so disastrous was Deathwing breaking from Deepholm into the material plane of Azeroth. If you don't know, Deepholm is one of the 4 regions of the elemental plane, and in a way it coexists with the material plane where we are currently on. So the reason for the Shattering was the elemental plane colliding with the physical realm, resulting in a catastrophe which changed the landscape of Azeroth. Alright, that is all I have for this video. Now do leave your feedback and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel already, as it really helps out and keeps all the videos going. And thanks a lot for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and see you next time.